Welcome everyone to Viral Vibes with Jocelyn. I'm Jocelyn, and today we're jumping into a reaction video you do not want to miss, you guys. If you love trending stories, real talk, unfiltered reaction, you're in the right place. But make sure you like, comment, and subscribe because here on Viral Vibes, we react to what the internet can't stop talking about, you guys. So before I go any deeper, let me do something I forget to do and that's clean the house. So let's get that done, and then we're going to dive right into it.
Fair use notice. Content on this channel may include copyrighted material used for commentary, criticism, news reporting, education, discussion. This use is permitted under Section 107 of the United States Copyright Act, which allows limited use of copyrighted material for transformative purposes. Viral Vibes with Jocelyn does not claim ownership of any third-party content shown in reaction or commentary videos. Everything on this channel is alleged and my own opinion. All rights remain with the respective owner. Our purpose is to add new value through analysis, opinions, reaction, and educational conversation in full alignment with the YouTube fair use guidelines.
Okay, we're back. So today's case, we're jumping into the case of the Milwaukee parents who, Lord, put their children in a storage unit with 6 kids. The parents, they were charged. Luckily, they were found. So we're going to jump into this case right now. Actually, you know what? Let me give you guys a little, let me split this right here before we get into it. So let me tell you a little bit about these people. So we have the dad, Charles Dupriest. He was 33 years old. He was the father of all 6 of the children. He was charged with 6 counts of child neglect, also charged with possession of a firearm by a felon because police found a loaded gun in the SUV. Let me stop using those words because YouTube is sensitive. They found a pow in the SUV he and the mother were sleeping in. Okay, let's see what the mom was. Isaiah Zelinsky, 26, with 6 kids. Whoa. She was also charged with the 6 counts of child neglect related to the situation. That was only charges that she faced. This happened on September 16th, 2025. Police were dispatched to the store safe storage facility near North 27th Street, West Silver Spring Drive at 1:30 a.m. after a 911 call of a baby crying inside a locker unit. Firefighters cut the padlock on the unit and found 6 children inside. We're going to go from there. No. Let me mention that the children age were from 2 months to 9 years old. That's important. So this lady had just had another baby. Lord have mercy. She don't know about contraceptives. Here we go.
Of crime YouTube channel. The cry behind the metal door. It started with a sound, soft, distant, and haunting. Just before midnight on a quiet September night in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a security worker making rounds at a suburban storage facility stopped when he heard it again. A baby was crying. At first, he thought it came from a nearby apartment complex, but as he moved closer, the sound echoed through the narrow corridor of metal doors. Each unit was locked, unlit, and sealed tight. Yet from one of them, he could clearly hear muffled whimpers. Unsure what he was hearing, he pressed his ear against the cold metal surface of Unit 329. The crying was faint but steady. He called out, no response. Then a tiny voice, help. That single word turned an ordinary night shift into a police emergency. Within minutes, the Milwaukee Fire Department and local police arrived at the scene, cutting through the heavy padlock that secured the door. When the metal door slid open, the rescuers froze. Inside the 10 by 15 foot space, they found 6 children, the youngest barely 2 months old, the oldest 9, sitting amid piles of blankets, plastic storage bins, and trash. There was no furniture, no running water, no toilet. The smell of waste and mildew filled the air. It was dark except for a small battery lamp in the corner. Investigators described the moment as surreal. It looked like a place no human should live in, especially children, one officer later told reporters. The children appeared tired, but not physically harmed. They had been living there for days, maybe weeks. A toddler clutched an empty juice box, while a baby lay wrapped in a towel. When asked where their parents were, one child simply pointed toward the door. They sleep outside, she said. Outside. Police.
Parents sleep outside. Oh, Lord. So let me tell you guys, get into this a little deeper on what was found when the officers made their way inside. The reports say they were alone, padlocked inside with no electricity, no running water, no furniture, no bathroom facility. There was a bucket. There's one bucket. 6 kids and one bucket. They couldn't even get 6 buckets. One bucket was used for urination and defecation. The air was filthy. It says, according to the complaint, the 9-year-old said he was responsible for caring for the younger siblings, including feeding the baby, the 2-month-old. 2-month-old. Keep that in mind, y'all.
Police found an SUV parked near the loading bay. Inside the vehicle were Charles A. Dupriest, 33, and Isaiah C. Zielinski, 26, the parents of all 6 children. Alongside them sat a family dog, a duffel bag, and a small camping stove. When questioned, the parents admitted they had been living in the car after being evicted from a shelter. They said the storage unit was the only place big enough to keep the kids safe. Court records and witness statements later painted a grim timeline. The couple had struggled with homelessness for months after losing their apartment. They had...
Okay, mind you guys, they were in there for 6 weeks. These kids lived under these conditions for 6 weeks. I couldn't find whether or not they were in school. There was no information about that, but there was information stating that now they're currently in school and they're doing better than they ever have. They're still in foster care, of course. They didn't have no family members to come and collect them, so they are in foster care and they are separated.
briefly stayed in a city-run shelter, but were asked to leave after repeated policy violations. According to them, they had nowhere else to go. They rented the storage unit under Dupriest's name, paying cash weekly. Employees recalled seeing them occasionally unloading boxes or visiting late at night, but nothing seemed unusual. Until that night, the crying started.
Okay. I also, him saying how much the storage unit cost reminded me that the couple, authorities also noted the family received $2,000 a month in Social Security benefits and $900 in food stamp assistance, raising questions about why the children were left in unsafe conditions despite the support. They had money. They could have went to an extended stay, something like that. They didn't have to live like this. I wonder if they had some other substance issues. But that's what it's looking like to me. But
the facility's cameras captured them entering the unit daily, often carrying food bags, diapers, and blankets. They would stay for hours, then sleep in the SUV parked nearby. Authorities later discovered that the storage unit had no ventilation, heating, or sanitation. A 5-gallon bucket served as a toilet. The children's clothes were soiled, their bedding damp. Investigators found half-eaten sandwiches, baby bottles, and small toys scattered across the floor. It wasn't a home, it was a box, said one child welfare worker. A box they were trapped in. At the police station, both parents were quiet. Dupriest kept repeating, "We didn't mean to hurt them." He claimed they were just trying to keep everyone together. Zielinski cried,
at what cost? That's why I be thinking that these people that do things like this, it's bigger than this situation. Because how in the hell did you think you were going to be able to conceal 6 children in a storage unit? You got away with 6 weeks, but I would have been nervous. Every night I closed my eyes, I would have been afraid. But obviously they weren't, because they weren't even with the children. They were outside with the dog, with the family dog, inside the SUV. They were inside a SUV with the dog. They were found with food. They had AC. This was a hot night when the officers came in. So They was living their best life. While the 9-year-old took care of the other 5 siblings, which is bull crap because this guy's lazy. And I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. Let's keep going.
As detectives asked why they hadn't sought help from relatives or emergency housing. Their answer was both heartbreaking and revealing. They had already reached out and been turned away. People don't want 6 kids, she said. No one wants that responsibility. Homelessness, poverty, and family breakdown had collided to create an invisible crisis.
They had no support. Because I'll tell you right now, first of all of this is crap to me. And I'm gonna tell you why. My brother has 5 children and his stay-at-home wife. And my brother has supported them all their lives. All their lives. Was every day easy? No. But he made sure he got up. He made sure his family had a roof over their head, food in their mouth. And I don't know how he did it, by the grace of God. But they never was in this type of situation. He never had his kids being taken. What? You know what? You could have worked, dude. You could have worked. She could have worked. Somebody could have did something. I'm glad these kids are gone. They're all gone. Well, of course, they're in jail. No family collected them. Let me tell you something. If my brother so much as called and hiccuped my kids, my nieces, I am there. All 5 of them. I'm taking them. So the fact that she didn't have that support, my brother already know. He just sent a bat signal. I'm there.
One that only came to light because a stranger happened to hear a cry through a steel door. News spread quickly across Milwaukee the next morning. Local headlines read, 6 children found in storage unit. Parents face neglect charges. Neighbors expressed disbelief. Some recognized the parents from nearby shelters and grocery stores. They always looked tired, one witness said. I thought they just lived in their car. Social services teams worked through the day to place the children in emergency foster care. Officials confirmed that none required hospitalization, though all were malnourished and dehydrated. Child protective agencies described the case as one of the worst examples of environmental neglect they had seen in years. Back at the storage facility, detectives marked every detail. They photographed the sleeping bags, the buckets, the scattered food, the faint footprints on concrete. The temperature inside the unit had dropped below 60 degrees Fahrenheit overnight. A warrant search of the couple's SUV uncovered a firearm under the seat, a serious offense given Dupriest's prior felony record. That discovery added another layer to an already disturbing situation. Meanwhile, the 6 siblings, now under state custody, were given food, baths, and warm beds. For the first time in days, they slept through the night.
I know they slept like babies. When I tell you, I know them kids got it in. Unbelievable. No excuse for this. I hope. Okay, let's figure out what happened. Let's get some more information about these 2. So, anywho, okay, so where we at? We are at the current legal status. Okay, did go to court and they was given a bond. Dupriest's bond was $20,000. That is not enough because he only has to come up with 10% of that. That is not enough. Zelensky's was $5,000. Zelensky's, that's the mom. Zelensky's early court appearance was emotional, and the case had been moving towards a trial. The father had pleaded not guilty to felony neglect charges, and legal proceedings are ongoing. Where are the kids now? The children were removed from the storage unit in the rescue and are now in the care of CPS, Child Protective Services. As of the latest, it says they are not with their parents. CPS is evaluating their well-being and placement. They are not together. They've been separated. There has been no public update saying they've been returned home. Where's home? They had no family to even take them when they was with their parents. Let me tell you something. I would have, if my brother had 10 kids, They know where they're gonna go with their auntie. And it's a given. Legal charges for the parents. Each parent faced multiple counts of child neglect. Dupriest, the dad, additionally faces a firearm charge because he was a felon. Now, if convicted, child neglect can carry serious prison time. Blah blah blah. Okay, they're being charged. Police noted, like I already stated, no electricity, no water. Child slept on mattresses on concrete with no sheets. Oh, I hate that. How itchy a bed can be. Bucket was used for toilet. We already spoke about that. Um, why this is so serious, you guys? It's a baby 2 month and young children were placed in unsafe, unsanitary conditions. We have to keep our ears open because it takes a village. Thank God that the person that did hear this baby crying inside of this storage unit did call 911. Let's keep going.
Within 48 hours, prosecutors filed 6 counts of child neglect, 4 of them felonies, due to the ages of the youngest children, and 1 count of felon in possession of a firearm. When the charges were read in court, Judge Lisa Stark described the allegations as shocking to human conscience. She denied bail, citing the danger of flight and the severity of the neglect. Local officials used the case as a wake-up call, pointing to gaps in housing programs and emergency shelter capacity. No child should ever have to live in a storage locker, said the county's chief social worker. In the days that followed, Mercy Hospital's pediatric unit became a temporary haven for the rescued children, as reporters gathered outside. One nurse described them quietly drawing pictures with crayons, flowers, houses, sunlight, things they hadn't seen in days. The city moved on quickly, but the images of that cramped...
Everybody felt these children. Everybody. Because let me tell you something. My mother, our family, let me tell you something. This is crazy. Lord, these kids were put into the worst family ever. The worst family ever.
Storage space lingered in the public mind. For many, the question wasn't how the parents could do it, but how a community could allow it to happen unnoticed for so long. The metallic clatter of that door opening didn't just reveal a crime scene. It exposed something deeper, the silent crisis of families slipping through the cracks, hiding in places no one ever thinks to look. Morning light crept over Milwaukee as news...
We need more people trying to go get these degrees, because I know the CPS workers, their caseload, like I did research, it was this one place in New York, and their caseload to one person was 120 people. One caseworker. People don't want to do these jobs no more. These young people, they don't want to get out here and they don't want to work. They don't want to pay. They don't want to pound the pavement. We need to start thinking about what other way can we protect these children. They can't keep going to the wayside like this. It's ridiculous. I think I want to do something like that. I'm always trying to do something. Listen, if I could help, I'm just getting this out there. Hopefully it touch somebody's heart and they say, you know what? I want to get into this field because this is so needed. It's ridiculous. There's so many children. Listen, I'm covering on this channel nothing but criminology, crime, CPS cases, anything that has to do with children, anything that has to do with the victim. So that's what this channel is about. And I'm hoping that I'm able to get this out there so someone can see that we need to do better. All of us. We need to do better. Even myself, you guys.
Crews gathered outside the safe storage complex. The story had already gone national by sunrise. 6 children found living in storage unit. The headlines read, accompanied by aerial shots of the facility and the now infamous Unit 329. The scene that morning was quiet, sealed behind yellow tape. But for investigators, the real work was just beginning. Inside the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, detectives gathered around a digital map of the facility. Each movement from the previous week, entry logs, payment receipts, camera footage, was under review. The question that guided the investigation wasn't just how the children got there, but how long they had been there before anyone noticed. Surveillance footage...
I'll tell you, 6 weeks. They were there 6 weeks before anyone noticed them missing. That's how they had no family. Because let me tell you something. If I go 1 week without hearing from one of my nieces or my nephews, it's always going to be my little one. The little one, she looked like me. That's Juicy. She always going to call her auntie. She actually called while I was on this live. So if I don't hear from her, I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I make the call. Hey, everything good? Get the text, my brother. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't have no family. Because let me tell you something, I don't care about nothing. It ain't even my brother. I care about my babies. They're my babies as well. I didn't push them out, but they're my babies.
Revealed that Charles Dupriest and Isaiah Zielinski had rented the unit for nearly 6 months, paying cash every week. Employees said they rarely saw the couple together, sometimes only the father dropping off bags, sometimes the mother sitting outside in the car with the dog. What struck investigators was how ordinary it all looked. There were no arguments, no disturbances, no visible chaos, just quiet, repetitive behavior. For months, they had come and gone unnoticed, living in plain sight. Detective Rachel Mendoza, who led the case, described it as the kind of story you can walk past 100 times without realizing what's inside. The video evidence showed the couple arriving late at night with groceries and diapers. They'd stay for hours,
on YouTube.
sometimes
I'm
overnight,
live.
before leaving at dawn. The discovery that 6 children had been
Why?
sleeping inside stunned even veteran officers. When interviewed by child specialists,
I done said this multiple times. My family call, I'm going to answer. I don't care if I'm alive. Ain't nothing more important than my family. So that was the juice. So I just told her, I said, Auntie on live. So jump on live.
older siblings began to describe their life inside the metal room. They spoke softly, carefully, as if afraid of saying too much. They said they played quietly during the day and were told not to open the door unless we heard Mommy's knock. They slept close together on blankets to stay warm. The youngest babies cried often, not from pain, but hunger. One of the older girls remembered counting the cars outside.
I don't know what hunger feels like, but I can't imagine. No, I'll say, oh, I'm hungry. I'll call my husband, babe, can you stop at such such and give me ABC? I'm hungry. I really am not hungry, girl. I'm just being greedy, girl. Just being greedy.
Through the crack at the bottom of the door. I could see light, she said. That was morning. Social workers described the children as polite, protective of each other, and surprisingly calm. They didn't blame their parents. They simply repeated, "We were waiting for a house." By the end of the week, Milwaukee residents flooded social media with disbelief and anger. News outlets played interviews from neighbors who had seen the family.
What you guys think need to be done to these parents? There's no excuse. Like I said, I watched my brother take care of 6 people. There's no excuse for this. There's just none. I don't have no sympathy for these parents. I hope they suffer in prison, and I hope that they get everything that they deserve for what they did to their children.
At local food banks. You never think something like this could happen right down the street, one woman told reporters. Community organizations began mobilizing to address the deeper issue.
But knowing that the children are still in foster care, the mother did say she had no family. She had no family to call. Let me tell you something. My brother sent a bat signal. I am jumping on that horse and I'm going to go get my nieces and my nephews. They don't got nothing to worry about. So the fact that they had nobody in their family that they could call to come and get their children. Let me tell you something. I will walk to go get my nieces and nephews.
The growing number of homeless families in Wisconsin who fall through gaps in housing programs. Local shelters admitted they were over capacity that month, many forced to turn families away. For every headline that condemned the parents, there were others asking hard questions about how a system built to protect children could miss something so visible for so long.
Why weren't they in school? Why didn't the school call? How did they live in this storage unit like this for so long and nobody called. No, these poor kids. Now, mind you, you got to remember the youngest was only 2 months old. The oldest was 9. The 9-year-old had to take care of all of his siblings. He was a boy, had to take care of all his siblings while his mom and dad did nothing. I hope they never get their kids back.
On September 19th, 2025, the parents appeared in Milwaukee County Circuit Court. Dupriest stood in a tan jumpsuit, his wrists cuffed. Zielinski, pale and tearful, avoided eye contact with reporters. Prosecutors outlined the charges: 6 counts of child neglect, 4 of them felonies due to the children's ages, and 1 count of felon in possession of a firearm. Photos from the unit were displayed as evidence. Blankets on concrete, the bucket, the dim light. Assistant District Attorney Lindsay Foster called it one of the most severe cases of neglect in recent Wisconsin memory. She emphasized the danger of confinement, the lack of sanitation, and the trauma inflicted by isolation. When asked for comment, Zielinski whispered, "We were just trying to stay together." Further searches of the
these poor children, now they're separated. Let's see. Let's see what's going on with these kids right now. Okay. So like I said, there was a baby in there, 2 months old. Baby was 2 months. They had an older brother that was 9 years old. He was in charge of feeding his brothers and sisters, taking care of them with whatever food or whatever that their parents did leave, which wasn't much because the kids was emaciated and they were malnourished. And what else I said? They were malnourished. Oh, and they were dehydrated. Sorry. I was trying to think of the third one. They were dehydrated. So mom and dad was not around anywhere. So it's saying that the baby, they were placed in, okay, the baby and the other, these 3, the baby and the 3 youngest were placed together. The other siblings were separated and shipped off to wherever they were shipped off with Child Protective Services. These people had nobody even come and get the baby. Wow. That's really sad.
SUV revealed the parents had kept small supplies of food and baby formula because the children were not attending school. They were considered unaccounted for. Child advocacy groups and neighbors who...
There's no sound, you guys. At the end of the video. What? It's a cliffhanger.
With confusion.
What is going on?
The court listened as they detailed how the youngest,
is
a
there no
2-month-old,
sound to
was
the
treated
video?
for dehydration.
Let me see.
The prosecution avoided sensationalism. Instead, they painted a picture of systemic neglect. Weeks of confinement in a space no larger than a small bedroom. Temperatures dropping each night, and no access to clean water. When it was the parents' turn to testify, the courtroom hushed. Zielinski spoke first, voice trembling. "We weren't trying to hurt them," she said. "We just wanted to stay together. We thought if we could make it one more week, we'd find somewhere to go." Dupriest followed. He kept his eyes low, repeating the same phrase, "I made the wrong choice." Their defense attorney argued for leniency, emphasizing the couple's homelessness and desperation. But prosecutors countered with a hard truth. The decision to hide 6 children in a sealed unit wasn't survival. It was negligence. After 3 days of testimony, the judge delivered her ruling. Both parents were found guilty on all 6 counts of child neglect, 4 of them felonies, along with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon for Dupriest. In sentencing, Judge Lisa Stark spoke not with anger, but with sorrow. "The law demands accountability," she said, "but it also demands compassion. Poverty is not a crime. Endangering your children is." Zielinski was sentenced to 4 years in prison, with eligibility for parole after 2. Dupriest received 7 years, citing the firearm charge and repeated violations of court orders. Neither resisted as deputies led them away. The 6 siblings were sorrow. "The law demands accountability," she said, "but it also demands compassion. Poverty is not a crime. Endangering your children is." Zielinski was sentenced to 4 years in prison, with eligibility for parole after 2. Dupriest received 7 years,
The dad.
citing the firearm charge and repeated violations of court
Oh,
orders.
that's the mother.
Neither resisted as deputies led them away.
The dad name
The
is
6
Dupriest.
siblings were placed under state care with temporary guardians. For weeks, their faces appeared only as sketches in court documents to protect their privacy. But behind closed doors, their recovery began. Foster parents described the first days as quiet. The children slept long hours, startled by sudden noises. Then, slowly, they began to laugh again. The oldest started drawing pictures of trees and houses. The youngest, barely crawling when found, learned to walk on the living room carpet of a real home. Child psychologists confirmed what many feared. The trauma of confinement would take time to heal. But progress was steady. Each sibling began attending therapy and school programs. For the first time, they experienced something ordinary: structure, safety, light. They're resilient, said one caseworker. They don't talk about the storage unit anymore.
Yes.
They talk about what they want to be when they grow up. In the months that followed, Milwaukee's leaders promised change. The Department of Children and Families created a new emergency response task.
Let me tell y'all something. My brother needs to do a course on how to do this, because and he got it from my daddy, because my mother, she wasted money like it was nothing. But my brother, he needs to get an award.
Force for housing-related neglect. Storage unit companies across Wisconsin updated policies to flag unusual overnight visits. Churches and nonprofits expanded emergency lodging for families with children. The case of the 6 siblings became part of training materials for social service workers statewide. Local media, once saturated with outrage,
That's good to know. Something positive came out of it. Now they're training. Okay, that's nice.
shifted tone. Editorials began asking how so many families were falling into homelessness in one of the wealthiest nations on earth. The story evolved from scandal to cautionary tale. Nearly a year later, Zelensky was allowed a monitored visit with her children at a supervised facility. The room was bright, painted with murals of clouds. The children entered cautiously, but when their mother smiled, the youngest ran forward. It wasn't forgiveness, just recognition. For a moment, they were a family again, fragile but real. A caseworker watching from the doorway described it as bittersweet, a reminder that
Please, if you
love
want,
and
tell me if you
failure
can hear
can
the
exist
video
in the same room.
and
The story of Unit 329 didn't end in a courtroom or a news headline. It ended in the quiet realization that sometimes tragedy isn't caused by malice, but by invisibility. 6 children hidden behind a metal door became a symbol for thousands more living unseen, in cars, motels, and storage spaces across America. The footage of that night remains haunting. Flashlights sweeping across concrete floors, the sound of a baby's cry echoing through a steel hallway. But now it stands as a warning, a reminder that awareness,
Okay, you guys.
compassion, and vigilance
Somewhere in
can
the
save
mix,
lives long before laws
the,
ever do. We'll never
woman
walk
went
past
out
silence
on
the
me.
same.
I'm just hoping that you guys could hear. There's always some type of technical difficulties, but it's okay. We are here. That's all that matters. So I just want to thank you guys. It's so chilly today. For jumping on. This case was very, very important, and it concerns our children. I say our children because they're ours, and we have to protect them. So I'll be doing more cases like this. Like I said, criminology, interrogations, CPS cases, more on a legal law type thing, a lot of that stuff. So anyway, I appreciate you guys for jumping on with me for this 25 minutes. Be blessed, you guys. See you tomorrow. I'm challenging myself every day. I'm going to be on YouTube and Facebook. Be blessed, you guys. Bye-bye.